there, I'm Rachel from PencilStash, your one-stop shop for everything adult coloring related. Here we do tips, tutorials, tips and tricks for adult coloring. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and hit the subscribe button or the bell to get notified when I've uploaded new content. And stick around to the end of the video where I will be showcasing this week's featured work from our Facebook group and Instagram. You can join our Facebook group or post to Instagram if you haven't already to feature your work in a future video. Today I'm testing the student brand Crayola Twistables. I've never used these before, but I got them as a Christmas gift, and I'm very excited to see how they stack up against our Prismacolors and our Faber-Castell, keeping in mind that they are a student brand and might be someone's kind of entry-level colored pencils when they start out in adult coloring. I'm anxious to see how they perform, so let's head over to my desk and we can try them out. So here are our Crayola Twistables. I've been anxious to try these out as I'm curious if these would be a good entry-level colored pencil set for the new adult coloring enthusiast. The Prismacolors and the Faber-Castells, the Derwent pencils of the world, are quite costly, and I know there's plenty of amazing things that can be done with student grade pencils, such as these, especially if you utilize the tips and techniques you see here on PencilStash. And I just want to mention this video is in no way sponsored by Crayola, just you and me testing these out. So these pencils again are the Crayola Twistables, the pack of 30, and I was quite happily surprised at the color range given right out of the box. There's lots of pinks, purples, oranges, yellows, blues, and greens to pick from. I will say that I was missing a true red and some of the more neutral tones, but again, these are student grades, so I can see why they would be more geared towards the bright poppy colors. And there's a reason they're called Twistables. They actually have a plastic shaft around the color core, much like a mechanical pencil. But to get the tip to extend, you twist the little cap at the end of the pencil. The one drawback I see here right out of the gate is that because of this setup, it's impossible to sharpen these. So the nubby tip is what you get. We'll see how well it works when we put these to the test. So let's see how these Twistables stack up against its artist grade big brothers. The page we're going to try these on is from Color the Rainforest by Marty Woods. This is another book my daughter got me for Christmas, and I'll be trying this one out today for the first time too. The page we'll be doing is this koi fish. Its form will be a good test page for our Twistables. First, I want to see what I might be working with as it relates to these pencils. So before putting pencil to page, I've taken my test page, which is a nice thick cardstock, to give these a go. I've taken a few of the greens and made a nice blended gradient. First impressions, I'm surprised how smooth they apply and how vibrant their pigment is. Some of the student grade pencils have very little pigment in them, which makes them look kind of cloudy and dull, but these are nice and vibrant. Now, because these pencils come in such bright and poppy colors, I've decided to go with that theme when I took a look at our color choice for our koi fish, and yellows and oranges are speaking to me right now, so let's pull some of those and test them out. Also, by the way, there are no names or numbers on these colored pencils, so if you're following along, unfortunately I won't be able to call out the colors that I'm using. For our base layer on his scaly body, let's use this yellow. Again, I'm pretty happy with how smooth the color's going down and how vibrant the pigment is. We're going to cover the bulk of his body with this yellow as our base layer, and then add color on top as we go to test out the layering ability of these pencils. Now I'd like to add some dimension with a second color to make his scales more prominent to feature. Let's test out some of these other yellows. So as I'm testing these, I'm finding that even though the yellow on the plastic shaft of each of these pencils looks different, I'm finding there's only a slight variation between them all. So it may be difficult to get some nuanced color out of these yellows. So because of that, let's go into the oranges. Maybe we can get what we're after out of those. Let's use this orange, and I'm just going to add an orange ribbon of color at the end of each of these scales so that we can blend it out later. Now that's done, let's take the first yellow we used and go over each one of the scales again to blend out our orange. In this use, it's acting as our blender pencil, as well as adding one more layer of yellow to get out any white space that we may have missed. I'd like to add some definition in his cheeks later on, so let's do his face in the light yellow so that we have the flexibility to add layers later on. Let's do his mouth. Is that a mouth? In this orange color. Bringing it into the face slightly. Then adding more layers of yellow and orange as I go. So even though I'm using pencils I may not be familiar with, my process remains the same. My approach to this page is just the same as if I were using artist grade pencils. So you can see right here where I've sort of brought the orange into the yellow of this fishy's face. I'm having a little bit of trouble blending this, and I'm going to keep trying, but this is kind of the first sign of some trouble. His fins are so ethereal and flowy, let's keep them light. So we'll do those in this light yellow, again giving the whole area a base layer of this color to build off of. Adding an orange to give some shadow. This is where I'd really like to be able to sharpen these to kind of get into some of these smaller crevices. Let me do some quick work on these and I'll be back with you in a moment. These yellows and oranges are looking good, but I'd like to add even more dimension. And I'd like to do that with the introduction of a complementary color. And for me, from this set, I'm going to use this burgundy, kind of cranberry red color. I think it complements very nicely and will kind of help to bring out some contrast in the fins, um, and just really help to add some dimension to this page. All right, so our fish is pretty much done, and I would like to move on to some of the other colors just to give them a try. And I'm going to be focusing on this little cluster of seaweed and bubbles and underwater flowers here next to him, and I'm going to be pulling from the blues, purples, and greens. So I'd like to start with the seaweed, and I'd like to sort of try to layer some greens along with some sea blues. So let's see how this comes out. And I'm just going to be using a very simple color gradient. So I really like the vibrant color tones that we were able to get here, but if you look closely again, I'm having a little bit of trouble blending these together. So good color layering, but the blending is still a little bit difficult. So onto the bubbles, and considering I'm having some problems layering, and we actually have just one or two blues available to us in this set, I'm going to keep this rather simple. So I'm going to take my two blues, and I'm just going to do one color base, and then I'm just going to give a little dimension with the darker. And onto the flowers, here I'm going to use a purple as my base layer and kind of the lavender lightest of the purples that I have. And I'm just going to be doing a base layer on each of the petals. And then just to keep it simple, because we are having a problem with the blending, I'm going to rely on layering, and I'm going to just be doing a simple surround around the edges with the darker. I just want to mention too that throughout this whole process, I've actually started to sort of get this weird flaky consistency off of the tip of the pencils that I keep having to rub off. So I'm not sure if that's just little kind of shrapnel pieces of the pigment coming off of the material or what, but I've kind of had to manage that a little bit throughout the process. Not a deal killer, but just something that I wanted to mention. So overall, I really do like these pencils. They're only $7 on Amazon or your local Target type store, and I am truly amazed what you get for that price, considering its Prismacolor counterparts are nearly $25 for a set of 36. The vibrancy, layering ability, and price tag are definite wins for the Twistables, but the cons are the blending ability and the range of colors. I know they're pricey, but if you are getting into adult coloring, you may want to spring for the small set of Prismacolor pencils just for the versatility. But if you're watching the budget or just seeing if this is a hobby you could get into, these Crayola Twistables are a great entry-level choice, and you can always upgrade later. So that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, leave me a like. I'm quite happy with the way that our page came out with our Crayola Twistables. I would definitely suggest these for anybody budget conscious who is starting out in adult coloring. Now on to the featured work from Facebook and Instagram. The first work I'd like to showcase comes from Debbie Doyle via our Facebook group. Debbie shared with us this charming teapot and pitcher set, and also that it was her first time coloring in 50 years. Well, Debbie, it doesn't look like you let a day pass by because this is just lovely. And Debbie, so are you. This page comes from Victoria Humphreys via our Facebook group. This page is smooth as silk. I can't see a single pencil mark on the whole thing. Your color choices create a very ethereal vibe with your attention to detail and the little white points of light you've added to the sky. This is great work. Thanks so much for sharing it with us. The next page comes from Jessica Robertson, again via our PencilStash Facebook group. I'm really drawn towards the jewel tones you've used on this page, and I love the color gradient you've chosen to do your mushroom caps in. Lovely, lovely work. I continue to be blown away by the talent you guys have. Thank you so much for letting me see them on the Facebook group as well as letting me share them here on the YouTube videos. Keep them coming. Let me know down in the comments if you have any video ideas for the future, and if you have any questions related to this page, the Twistables, or anything adult coloring related. I'll help if I can. Check out the rest of my YouTube channel and videos for more tutorials, and also you can go to pencilstash.com to check out my blog. Thank you so much for watching today. I will see you next time. Then we can get some pretty good results. Oh my God, I was so close. I can't talk today.